Ryan texted me.
Ken texted me. I called Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation, last night I had a conversation on the phone with Ryan. I missed the friendship that we had. I feel like Ryan was my best friend at a time, and there are times that I feel like when I am not understood by Ken or by my parents, they understand. Ken is single, and he's always understood me. Like, he was my best friend first. So.
Yeah, work and sleep, and then...
Okay. I guess I'm done to that. I'll get these back for that.
Oh, really?
I married Ryan. I have a marriage now. I'm wearing this wedding ring that belonged to Ryan's mom. I can't keep talking to you. I have a whole family. I'm in a committed relationship. I have a daughter with this man.
Just called it, okay, I lost my virginity, and it just kind of felt like that was weird. I was very disappointed. It just kind of felt like, well, that was disgusting.
I didn't enjoy sex with Ryan, and I was like, that is so out of context. And
saying sex was not good with me. Ken fills all those voids that Ron couldn't sexually. I think all this BS. Okay.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard says she didn't enjoy sex with Ryan Anderson despite one saying that he is fire.
You didn't, though, Gypsy. Work and sleep, and then...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Recently, Gypsy's prison emails were released by Into the Weeds. I know a lot of you guys have heard a lot of them already. We're gonna get into some of the more manipulative emails that reveal some more truths about Gypsy's life and the things that she said and how her story has changed. So that's what we're gonna be focusing on today in this video. But before we do, make sure you like and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with anything I've got coming out on my channel. But let's go ahead and get into these prison emails and see what we can dig up.
Her saying you're gay, do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Obviously not, because I'm not.
Okay. Her calling out that you were on drugs in her messages, do you agree with that? Yes or no?
Obviously not, because I wasn't.
Okay.
I think that was just her way of coping with the situation, and that was her finding her peace with why we separated. But no, I don't support that, obviously, because it wasn't true.
There are over 1,000 pages of just pure ugh. And I can totally understand why Gypsy has decided to delete her TikTok, especially after Ken came on live and challenged Ryan Anderson to a boxing duel. Yeah, I'd be probably hiding as well, honestly. It's pretty embarrassing. So we're going to be getting into more of Gypsy's emails, how Gypsy manipulated Ken, playing all of these people at different times, going back and forth and just watching the way that she works. Really interesting emails in there that I think are very telling. And something else that was a very common theme in Gypsy's email was making sure to let everybody know that she thinks Ken was gay. She wanted to tell pretty much every single person that she spoke to that he has to be gay. There's so many signs that point to him being gay. I guess because he wasn't ready to fully commit to a woman in prison, that the only alternative is that he's gay. So one of the emails includes, yes, he is the one the media ruined. I think he's gay because in one conversation he told me that he has never felt this way about any guy or girl, and I hooked on to the guy part. He has made multiple kiddings that he is gay, like saying, wouldn't it be funny if you were my beard? I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, like I'm only dating a chick to hide that I'm gay. You'd be my beard. What straight guy knows that? Also, in the beginning, I met his mother and she said, oh, it's crazy. I always thought he was going to be gay because he never dated girls as a boy or a teen. And he always was so shy. He told me this one story about whenever he went to a strip club. Mind you, he was a virgin until 21. He asked the dancer if she could just talk with him instead of giving him a lap dance. He isn't masculine, nor is he like metrosexual. He just looks like your everyday dude. Just don't know. He has pretty much overused the jokes that he is gay to the point I'm like, well, are you? I told him also if he ever decided to be trans, I would love him and stay with him all the same. And I meant that too. When you truly love somebody, your body parts don't matter. Well, guess it doesn't matter now. Gypsy also made a comment about Ken potentially being HIV positive, which was crazy because she was emailing somebody again and she was talking about the whole strip club thing or whatever. And I'd love him all the same if he was bisexual. And here's another thing. He gets his blood taken every so many months and he gets sick very easy. A sign of being HIV positive. He still insists he isn't gay, which that could very likely be if he was doing H. He probably was getting his blood checked to make sure he's not got Hep C or something, or some kind of other bloodborne illness if he's doing drugs. But it's funny to me that she immediately goes to him being HIV positive. My love, as I'm writing this, I'm in bed looking out of the window at the 10 plus inches of snow falling from winter, and I have only one thing on my mind, you. After you told me why you got in your head and turned into a gremlin, can't even be mad at you because it's why you got that way, not how you were reacting. But the why, that makes me sweet on you. I'm like, aw, he got territorial. He loves me. Love you, XOXOXO, honey. I need to remember that we will never keep score of the wrongs we both do and say things that we didn't completely think before it was said or done, but most likely it was purely because we love each other too much and our moods can be affected at moment's notice in a positive or negative way. You and I are so much alike, and I get protective and possessive of you as well. Remember when you told me you met Kylie Jenner? I was about to F up a Kardashian for real, lol. Totally believed you. There have been times where I've turned into Mrs. Gremlin. In all seriousness, I am so into you and wrapped up in my feelings for you that no one male or female reference to my little misunderstanding, lol, is even a blip on my radar, as I am in love with only one person because this one person I have spent hours, could total up to months talking to. Visits that have such fond memories and kisses that were so pleasurable they made me moan. Such powerful emotions that overwhelm me with happiness just having you in my life. With that being said, I will give you a Bible verse that I truly believe in, and this comes from Life Recovery Bible. So for us both has more meaning. You and I both at one time or another have been addicts trying to numb our pain, and love can often be the cause and the cure. And let me just say, it's beyond clear that Gypsy was never an addict. I mean, she even says so herself. I'll read that later on, but this girl was not an addict. She has no clue what it is like to be an addict, and it makes sense why she behaves the way that she does and how she reacts to Ken if he's relapsed, or how she reacts to Nick's mom overdosing. That is not the behavior of somebody that is an addict, I can guarantee you, and she even pretty much admitted it herself that she's not actually an addict. Continues, we may have given up on love, perhaps we have waited for love to only be disappointed, maybe our loved ones have hurt us so badly that we needed to numb ourselves from the pain. In the past, our addiction helped us to keep us numb, but now we are recovered, and we must deal with the trials and joys of life with a sober mind and heart. And then she gives 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind. When Ken relapsed, Gypsy was trying to work it out, and then she snitched not only to Rod and Christy, but she also snitched to Ken's mom. And typically whenever you're in a relationship with an addict, that is a huge betrayal to go and snitch to family members. That is a huge slap in the face to go tell people that are under the impression when they're thinking you're sober or whatever, for you to go and literally tell on them. I'm surprised if that was not the reason, if he was having a relapse issue, that wouldn't be the reason that he broke up with Gypsy, because that is a huge problem and that is something that would be a huge betrayal. The truth is, you did more damage to me by choosing to listen to others instead of asking me what I wanted and needed in the first place. You put me through heartache and pain by making me feel unwanted and in love, and worse, a burden to you. I spent many nights crying myself to sleep, then wake from a nightmare that I was alone in this world, to wake and realize I am alone because you're gone. You ignored my pleas for you to mend things and work on our communication. You only grew more distant and resorting to your addiction to numb yourself. Took every picture of you down because every time I would look at you, I would cry. I would ask myself, how did this happen? So wrong in such a short amount of time for him to push me away so far. My past, but most of all, I blamed myself. We have been through the challenges of being in the public eye. We faced it together. We have been through 6 months of no visits. We faced it together. We have jealous LWOPs try and place doubts in our mind We faced it together. Now we face people, friends, and family who want us to live our lives the way that they want it or perceive it as best. You left me alone, broke my heart, and was planning a life with you, was happy and the happiest I have ever been. Had my heart set on you and moving to KC, we would have our little private ceremony, you and me, then pick out a little golden retriever puppy and could have bought a nice little toy and a bowl or a bed. That was in July that had planned that, and by August you broke under the pressure to appease others, and now we are broken up. What happened to me and you against the world? Guess you loved the world more than me, because God knows I did my best to get you to stay. Yes, I had my moment of weakness, but was hoping to see you fight for us, and you didn't, so it goes without needing words that you never wanted space or to be alone. All I wanted was to be loved and love someone enough to share my life with. I have taken 5 classes and still, at the end of the day, deep inside feel worthless because everyone I have ever loved hurts me or says I'm not enough, everyone including you. I thought you were different. Before all this, I actually felt like I was worth something to you at least, and that was everything to me. I will be honest, if we did go back to us as a united couple, you need to gain my full trust back. I have trust issues like a bitch, and you will need to have actions behind your words. That's how you gained it in the beginning. Don't lie to me. Don't hide from me. Don't ever use drugs again. This is Rod saying, okay, I never knew he had a past of using. Hope he can stay clean. Okay, so update, he isn't using on the regular, but he effed up and got high only once, and I chewed his ass for it. He swears it's not a problem like a full relapse. I told mom and his mom so they can keep an eye on him and watch for signs. He used that even after the whole situation was explained and they figured it out or whatever, and she clarified what Ken was saying. She still used that against Ken later on when she's talking to other people. Gypsy, clearly she went and found a book about, probably some sort of recovery book, NA book, and she's just taking from that and she's trying to read from that, but she has no idea or any personal experience being around somebody that is an addict. When she was with Ken, he was allegedly sober, but she's still in prison, so she doesn't have any idea what it's like to live with an addict, to be with an addict, or to even be an addict herself. Gypsy talks about her relapse whenever Ken also simultaneously relapsed. She says, more on the topic, I think it's important to mention the fame caused his relapse to drugs, and consequently the breakup led to mine. I was using drugs soon after the breakup, and he had been secretly using drugs for a few months before and after the split. Neither one of us knew of each other's relapse. It was the pressure of the media that he had started using opioids, and he grew distant and cold to me. He ended the 2-year relationship claiming it was in the best interest of both of us that we separate. He claimed he needed things to figure out in his life, and he was afraid of being a negative role in my life. I was left heartbroken and went down a bad path of drug use and depression. I told him I was going to talk about it in the book, and he's okay with that. He's not a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. Gypsy literally says that later on in another email that, yeah, she's used drugs and she was once an addict, but she has no problem picking something up and then putting it back down immediately. So that's completely the opposite of what an addict actually is. If you have the ability to just put something down after you've picked it up, you're not an addict. She says, I no longer use drugs to help cope with my trauma. The drug of choice was pain pills. I have always been open about my struggle with addiction, even confessing to Dr. Phil. The classes I have taken teaches me healthy coping skills, so instead of getting high, I'm using meditation and music, make a cup of hot chocolate and listen to nature sounds. It calms me, and if that doesn't work, I call a friend and just talk and laugh for a little while, and I'm okay. And watching the way that Gypsy manipulated Ken in order to try to get him to get married to Gypsy is honestly crazy. She'll email him and say, babe, I'm filling the application. Honestly, I just don't feel that you want this marriage right now like I do. So I think it's best that we wait for when I'm home. Love you, G. And then not even 5 minutes later, she's like, I take back my email and what I said. I'm sorry I overreacted. Will you please be mine forever? In love, yours truly, Gru. Gypsy Rose Urker, which Gru, we should start calling her Gru because that is pretty spot on. Later on, Gypsy does this same tactics again to Ken. So this is after they're broken up and things aren't going too great. She emails him and says, dearest love of my life, Know that I promised that I would call you every day, but after last night, I really need time and space to get my head clear and figure out how to appropriately finish the topic of conversation. I can't hide my emotions from you. I still want to see you in a few weeks, but please understand this was something I was really happy and looking forward to. I feel embarrassed and feel like an idiot for being as excited as I was, so please give me time to be disappointed. I truly do not want to go against your family's wishes, so understand that I will put aside my feelings and desires and call off the wedding and engagement plans. Besides, you deserve better, and that is the real reason why I agree that we shouldn't do it after all. Was caught up in the idea of being officially yours, and like you, wanted some kind of security in knowing we were tied together. Not that that was the only reason, because the main reason being that I love you more than I could have ever dreamed, but you wearing a ring while serving drinks to needy, lonely, desperate bitches probably would make me sleep a little better at night. Just as me having your last name as my own would flake off all of the guys who hit on me via email and mail. Still get creepy weirdos, by the way. I'm attracting 40 and 50-year-old 300-pound bald dudes. Cringes. Save me. LOL, only a few are around my age and are okay looking, but no one in comparison to my one and only. Anyway, my point being that we both have a small, teeny tiny insecurity. Both thought that getting married would be the reassurance we want and need, so believe me and understand. In the end, I just want to make you happy and feel loved and appreciated, and if what you want is to wait, then I'll wait for you. XOXO. So she sends this to somebody else, like right after sending this to Ken. And she says, hi, so I'm crying again. You were right about him. He does make me cry too much. He called off the wedding for real this time. It's not going to happen in July or anytime soon. He always does this. He tells me pretty words. Then when it comes to making good on those words, he backs out last minute. He did this with the move, and now this. I see a pattern. It's like anything to do with me. Sigh. I'm just so hurt right now, like all I can do is cry. I was so looking forward to this. I had a party planned, all my friends think we're getting married, and now I have to be humiliated by everyone that he changed his mind. I'm really bad at hiding my emotions when I'm upset, so I can't play like I'm okay when I'm really just heartbroken. I had such high hopes. Feel so stupid now. Well, guess I won't be ruining the month of July for you after all. With this whole manipulation and how Gypsy plays on these sexualized conversations and how she uses it to kind of work her way around other people, just as she said that other women do. By other women, she means literally herself. In one email, she literally called herself a succubus. And if you don't know what a succubus is, it's pretty crazy that she would even like say this. But a succubus is a female demon who I can't believe she said this. They appear in the dreams of male humans in order to seduce them. Repeated interactions between a succubus and a man will lead to sexual activity, a bond forming between them, and ultimately intercourse as she requires it to survive. And in the email, she says, darling, I just wanted you to know that I'm glad I got to meet your mother last week. I was so lost in the negative and forgot to appreciate the fact that I am blessed that she even came to visit me. It's rare that someone would even go out of their way to meet their son's fiance in prison. She is a sweet woman, and I can tell she knows that I love you. Maybe she is unaware just how deeply committed I am to you, but she knows we love each other. You have met my father, stepmother, best gal pal, and my goddaughter. Meeting your mother was my turn to establish a familiarity with your side. Admit I was so nervous, had subtle makeup on, tried to look classy and presentable. I only look like a vixen or a succubus for my man. What? Like, that is crazy that she would sit there and say that she tries to look like a succubus. That is wild to me, but not really because of who she is and the way that she does things. But I just found that to be, like, really funny. And in another email where Gypsy is upset and talking about Ken and the problems that they're having after Ken, I guess, ran into an ex-friend of his or a female friend when he went to go visit Florida or something. I wanted to start crap because he went out of his way to tell me that he ran into his ex-girlfriend. BS. He went to see her on purpose. They are Facebook friends. She probably has her place of employment listed, and he went to find her. He asked me if it was okay if they had lunch before he left for the trip, which before he left, we kind of had a few words over it. I felt uncomfortable because why do you want to see your ex? Just to see if she wants you back? To see if she's still hot? I don't know. Then, when they started asking why he acted like that, they had never had anything and they were just friends. So why tell me some BS like he ran into her of all places in Miami? He just happens to run into the ex he said he wanted to see. Who knows, he probably effed her too while in Florida. God, he must think I'm an idiot. It's just, recently he is negative and distant. When I call him, I keep thinking he will answer the phone and be happy and lovey and mushy and sweet, the guy that I love, but instead I hear his empty personality that is emotionless. He used to call me sweet names like baby, my love, or other terms of endearment. Now he just calls me Gypsy. He says he wants to stay together, but everything about him screams different. He even rejected the conversation when I tried to take it into a sexual direction. He won't entertain that topic, at least not with me anymore. The fact that my mind even thinks something is going on behind my back is concerning. Does this mean I don't trust him? This is how I would expect him to act if he caved in and slept with another woman or is just straight up cheating on me. And his desire to see his ex is all the more questionable. I was strong when broke up with him for 3 days and then I couldn't take the pain anymore and we got back together. Now, however, we are together, but emotionally couldn't be more broken up. I don't even know why we got back together. Yes, I do love him and I want a future with him. And I'm weak. As it stands now, we couldn't be more unprepared for marriage at the current time or at the current moment. The majority of the time, I do want to marry him. Loving him is so easy, but why is getting the effort from him so hard? It breaks me apart inside. Is our relationship coming to an end? I can feel it in my heart and soul that the love will always be there, but the lifespan of us being a couple is fading. And even in an email, Gypsy's talking about how she did the breakup email. In order to get a reaction, she does certain behavior, and when people don't react the exact way that she wants them to, she freaks out. It says, it seems I have a lack of willpower when it comes to my lover. It was a relief to hear your voice last night, baby. And yes, guess you did hit the nail on the head. I did have the fake breakup to get a reaction from you, and I freaked out when I didn't get the reaction I wanted. I wanted you to chase me, and you didn't. It wasn't a plan to do that. It was done unintentionally, but with the goal to get some validation that you still wanted me. Again, from my heart, and deeply sorry, honey. Love you and want us to go back to normal, start fresh. Forgive you for the night that you didn't answer the phone and for getting high. Can you forgive me for being irresponsible with your emotions and for the conversation? I was speaking from insecurity that led us to grow so distant. Widens eyes like Puss in Boots. That if you could set aside 1 hour for us time, I'm sure it would help bring us closer together. But I'm gonna say that this not as your lover, but as your friend. I call BS on you wanting space from me in order to do things that you could never do with me as a distraction. You're a bad procrastinator. All you do is lay in your bed and watch YouTube on your days off before work. I never was the thing that stopped you from doing anything except for being with other chicks. I was your cheerleader in trying to get your GED, offered to help you study, and busted my ass to find you sheets and study packs to help you. When you wanted to go watch a movie with your friend on date night, I let you go without a complaint. So really, I'm not sure who convinced you or what clicked that was the problem when it was really your own laziness to blame. And that's just pure unsugar-coated truth coming from someone who has spent 2 years observing your behavior. Now I'm speaking to you as your lover. It does sting because everyone told me that you were nothing but a hinder to my life and was the one to say different. I gave you nothing but credit to my personal growth, and to hear you say that I hinder you from your personal growth, that hurts. That was a low blow, and I am not taking it wrong, as you know you would say. That's exactly how you said it, direct quote. Because I spent so much time with you, I couldn't do the things that I needed. I didn't know you wanted to be a solo act. I'm sorry that I was trying to be your partner, but if that's how you really feel, then I won't be, and we can continue to grow apart instead of growing together. When Gypsy talks to Rod and brings up her mom, which, side note, for the record, I'm pretty sure Gypsy only brought up her mother Dee Dee in this time period, like, probably less than 10 times total. And that's pretty crazy given the fact that you're serving a prison sentence for murdering your mother, and just a handful of times she ever mentions that she's sad or that she missed her mother, and it coincidentally occurs whenever she's going through some sort of breakup or she's having problems in her relationship, that she'll use it like, oh, I'm missing my mother, or it's my mother's birthday and you didn't call me, thanks a lot, like she did to Ken. She's using it as a way to manipulate people to feel sympathy for her whenever she was the one that committed the crime. But other than that, she doesn't care about Dee Dee whatsoever. It's pretty crazy. So she says the lady that played Mama kind of looked like her. She's talking about another documentary. And she had froofy hair like her back then. LOL, sometimes I kind of wonder why she never let my hair grow out long. She probably would have been surprised to see it if she had, that she and I had similar hair with the curls, a perfect blend of you and her. I have come to accept that I'll never know why she did or didn't do the things she did. However, I do know I looked enough like you to remind her of you every day, and maybe that was a heartbreak too hard to handle sometimes. In her own weird way, she loved us both, but sometimes rejection is too much for people. She lost you, and then it had become a fear of hers to lose me. In a lot of ways, I am starting to see her actions are a result of insecurity and loneliness inside, and that there's something that makes her memory easier to cope and forgive her for everything. It's coming up on the anniversary in a few weeks. 5 years is a long time since you and I were standing on the other side of the glass. I remember feeling very unsure of what to say to you. You were always this person that I wanted to know and love, and really love, not act because I was forced to say certain things on the phone, but mean it when I said I loved you. And there, standing in front of you as an adult with not a clue of where to begin. 5 years have passed, and now I feel like we have a bond with everyone in the family with you, and I don't feel that distance anymore, a feeling like I don't fit in because I'm only half related. I feel like we all have come together and there are only better days ahead. I'm ready to come home. Eventually responds, oh baby, I don't know how you do it in there for so long. No, it's easy to say don't think about it and just get through today one day at a time, but that gets old and it's impossible not to think about how long a year is in confinement. The only good thing is knowing there will be a day when you can walk out of there and breathe your first breath of freedom, letting the sun shine on your face and see what God wants you to truly be. That hopeful anticipation must be blooming deep within you and keeping you sane while you prepare yourself. Know you understand how important it is to stay the course and focus on the little goals. Only you know what Gypsy will be when you step on that freedom bus. Hold her to high hopes and expect to be remarkably conscious of the things everyone else takes for granted. Mom loved you like no other baby. You'll never find anyone else who's loved you more. Why she did those things? I don't know. Maybe she was scared you would love me too if given half the chance. I ran from you guys like a scared little punk bish, and she couldn't run from the responsibility like I did. That's why I always respected her and did the best I could financially to help. She started something long ago and never could get out of that crazy hole that she dug, all in the name of love to protect you. Wish she would have just let you grow up, and maybe you and I would have never been close, but you would have had some freedom. It's sad, but I'm glad you and I could talk about it and have a real relationship now. I am so happy that you are in my thoughts every single day now, and when I think of the future, you're always a part of it. I'm ready for you to come home too and give Mom some company. That's so crazy to me because Rod is essentially saying like, yeah, sorry Gypsy, you were never included in any of my future plans like at all. And now you are. And like maybe had your mom given you some freedom, you and I probably still wouldn't have had a relationship. That's what he's basically saying. And it's like, yeah, you killed your mom, so now we have a relationship and that's cool. Yeah, now I have to kind of consider you because I don't have any other option. And I can't help but wonder if that's the way Gypsy read it too, but you all know how I think about Gypsy and Rod's relationship and how I view it to be very weird and obsessive. And I think that, honestly, that is one of the reasons why Gypsy was so cool with Rod cheating on Christy. I almost have this feeling that she wanted Rod and Christy to have a divorce so that way she could go be with Rod and, you know, they would be split up. Even in the emails, Gypsy did say that Christy could never replace her real mother that grew her in her stomach for 9 months. Although she calls her mom, except whenever she gets pissed off and no longer considers her a mom, kind of like what she did to her real mom. She was angry enough at her to pretty much eliminate her from the position of being her mother. And whenever Gypsy's talking to Melissa, whenever they're going over their book or their documentary, and Gypsy talks about her past relationships, the relationship between Nick and I essentially as to individuals who shared this fantasy of being in love, but had little to no experience in dating or love. At the beginning, it was very innocent, and the view of love and relationships was through the vision of a Disney film. I believed in the romantic fairy tale true love, and that became my focus. It didn't fit the rated PG version of a Prince Charming. After about 3 months into our relationship, he began talking about his alternate personality named Victor, who was also a 500-year-old vampire, and from that moment on, it began to take a dark turn from the romantic conversations we previously had. It was at this time he told me of what his BDSM fetish was, not aware of what this was when he first mentioned it to me. He had shown me Googled images of women in leather and handcuffs. He explained that this was what pleased him, and if I loved him, I would be okay with this type of relationship. I was very desperate to keep him interested in me, so I agreed without fully knowing what I was agreeing to. In the months or following year, I believe that is when the 50 Shades of Grey book became popular, and it became popular to have this style of relationship. The main dialogue of our entire relationship was him training me to be a sub. Training consisted of endless conversations about how to speak, sit, stand, behave around him when he was in the role of a dom. So we had this style of a relationship, but never once acted it out in a physical manner. It was all purely dialogue. The only things that played out in real life was the videos he instructed me to make for him. He created the dialogue of what I had to say, how I needed to say it, how I needed to dress, in addition to our aspect of our relationship, play on my desire to save him from his dark side, and would play on his need for sex to be physically desired. It was unintentional on my part, was what he liked in a sexual sense, then he would continue to stay in the relationship with me. Whereas by the texts and messages, he just wanted someone to control, and he knew my feelings of need for him would keep me interested as long as he incorporated that he was the true love I longed for. Even if he had this dark side, I always hoped he would let go of his darkness, but he ended up pulling out the darkness in me. When that was developing, then we began this dialogue of crime, and he started to talk about murder and rape. It was frightening, but I thought he was acting in a role, never took it seriously, until what would eventually become our crime. Second time that was after the crime happened, and it was rape. I'm very uncomfortable with this. I have a hard time talking about it. I have lasting emotional trauma because of this experience, and it makes me absolutely sick that at his trial on the stand I had to bite my tongue and say that I wasn't raped because I had prior knowledge that he was going to have sex with me. However, like I said on the stand, I screamed, "Stop, you're hurting me," and he didn't stop. He choked me and had my hands held down above my head. He gave me no mercy. I meant it when I said stop. I wasn't participating in the role play. This was a sacrifice to keep him from being cruel to my mother. So she's like this sacrificial person, and it's funny because although she said that she wasn't raped by Nick, and then she claims that she was, Nick's not the only person that she is accused of sexual abuse. So there's the grandfather, but there's kind of some details about what she gets into with the whole grandfather. But there was also another woman that she accused of raping her as well that came out in these emails. Gypsy has a history of saying that people are abusive to her. Even saying that one of her ex-boyfriends, I think it was maybe Brian, but it could have been Ken, when she's talking to another guy, saying that I was reading a book, it's called Why Does He Do That? And as I'm reading it, I realized he was an abusive partner. He had a way of putting me down without saying one derogatory name or even one bit of vulgar language. In the same breath, I can say he idealized me in a way that was only a fantasy to him. He meets the abuser warning signs in more way than one or two. She didn't just send that to one person, she sent that same email to multiple people, talking about how she was only a fantasy to him and that he meets the criteria for an abuser. But that will be it for today's video on the emails that I'm going to go over. I'm going to be making more, going over some other ones that I've noticed as well. Tons and tons of pages, and I worked my way through every single one of them, and I cannot wait to get into it more with you guys. I want to know what you guys have thought about this. What do you think about the emails so far? What is the craziest one that you've heard, either in my video today or just in general? Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about it or any of these emails. As always, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with everything I've got coming out on my channel. And shout out to Into the Weeds for uploading these for all of us to be able to see. Thank you again. I will see you guys on the next one. Okay, bye.